In the construction sector, there are high levels of informality and union busting by companies that severely restrict the right to freedom of association and collective bargaining. At the same time, workers face abusive recruitment practices, wage theft, unsanitary and dangerous working conditions, and lack of adequate grievance mechanisms. The UN Guiding Principles can be a powerful tool for unions when organizing, campaigning, and bargaining for change in construction labor practices. Joining and forming trade unions are fundamental human rights that companies should respect everywhere, regardless of domestic contexts. Unions can invoke the UN Guiding Principles to fight undue dismissals connected to union-related activity or a company's attempts to evade collective negotiations with unions. The principles can also be raised to stress the need for regular, independent inspections to monitor site conditions and analyze occupational hazards. It is important that unions engage in reporting complaints and make sure that inspections take place. Businesses should ensure adequate investigation proceedings when evidence of human rights abuse emerges and be accountable for remediation measures taken, making information publicly available. When negotiating, unions can use the UN Guiding Principles to request training on health and safety risks, safety equipment, life insurance, and long-term disability cover. They are also tools to call for an end to excessive overtime and compressed work schedules, as well as to push for better wages and employment conditions. Transparency in businesses' supply chains is essential to raise the bar on labor protection. Unions can push companies to only hire suppliers and subcontractors with demonstrable human and labor rights policies that guarantee access to grievance mechanisms in local languages for all workers and call for the penalty of recruiters accused of debt bondage and forced labor. Unions can also draw on the OECD guidelines for multinational enterprises, which have incorporated the UN Guiding Principles on business and human rights and claim their application through the national contact points available in the OECD member countries. This means that unions can use NCPs that exist at the company's head office location to enforce labor rights in places where they have branches or from which they regularly source. Other tools that echo the UN Guiding Principles are the contractual labor safeguards adopted by international financial institutions towards external suppliers, such as the World Bank Environmental and Social Framework, where ESS2 cover labor and working conditions. These initiatives seek to ensure that companies receiving loans or participating in finance contracts meet minimum labor standards and have a deterrent effect due to the fear of suspension and debarment. These tools can help unions to engage in dialogue and push for an environment of human and labor rights compliance in the construction sector.